In this week's Atlassian Community Q&A video, we're going to take a look at Patrick's question here. So the title of this question is, when moving an issue, the drop-down for projects doesn't open. Patrick was on to say, hi, I don't know if any of you have encountered this issue. When moving an issue in the move screen, you can have the current project and the issue type, and there are drop-downs to change them. I have two users. When they click the arrow to select a new project or issue type, the drop-down doesn't open. One of them is an org admin and the other is a site admin, and I reviewed all the permissions. I even logged in as one of them, and it worked on my session. They tried with Chrome and Edge, and they have the same behavior. I don't think this is an issue with Jira, but I can't figure out why only the move screen is affected by the drop-down issue. I assume all other drop-downs work correctly. I'm out of ideas. So there are a few different reasons why you might not be able to move an issue from one project to another, or why you might not be able to update an issue type along with that move from an issue from one project to another. So let's go ahead and jump into Jira, and I'm going to show you how to move one issue from one project to another while also changing its issue type and moving it to the other project. In this video, we're also going to cover what some of those potential permission issues could be that could be preventing users from actually moving an issue from one project to another or changing that issue type. And then we're also going to discuss some of the things you should be aware of when you are moving an issue from one project to another, because you could lose some data if you're not aware. So let's go ahead and jump over to Jira. Here you can see we're in my Development 2.0 project, and I want to move one of these issues. Let's go ahead and select the story type from dev2-13, and I'm going to move it from one project to another. So the project that I have available, I'm going to be moving it from the Development 2.0 project, and I'm going to move it to just this dev project. So let's go ahead and walk through how to move an issue from this dev2 project to another project. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filters, and I'm going to go to View All Issues. Here in the JQL, I'm going to type in project equals dev2. And then I'm also going to type and key equals dev2-13, because that is the issue that I want to move from this dev2 project to just the development project. So here you can see we have the dev2-13. So what you're going to do is first, using JQL, you're going to filter and find all of the issues that you want to move from one project to another, or if you want to just change their issue type from one issue type to another and keep them within the same project, you'll follow the same steps in this video. So now that I have the issue filtered that I want to move, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this ellipsis icon in the top right hand corner, select ... and we're going to hit bulk change all issues. Now keep in mind, bulk changes is a user permission. So if a user does not have that make bulk changes permission, then they will not have that available on that ellipsis icon. And that's one way you can troubleshoot whether or not someone is able to move an issue from one project to another, or move the issue type from one issue type to another. And so what you're going to do is, once you're in this screen, you're going to select that checkbox at the top, or just select the issues that you want to select and actually move and edit. So we're going to hit next. And from here, we're going to choose operations. So again, we want to move issues. We don't just want to edit issues, we actually want to move issues. So here I get a notification saying some issues will lose their relationship with their parent epic. So the story that I had selected is nestled underneath an epic, and an epic is its parent. So once I move it from the dev2 project to the development project, it will lose that relationship, and that's what that warning means. It's just something to keep in mind. If you don't want to lose that relationship, then maybe go back and figure out another way to go about getting that information from one project to another. Maybe you clone the issue and move that issue under the new project or the other project that you wanted to move this issue to, or maybe you're aware that it's going to disrupt this parent link and you're completely fine with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select move issues, we're going to hit next. And here, this is where you're moving the issue from. So you can see I'm moving it from the Development 2.0 project, and it is currently a task issue type in the Development 2.0 project. Now, this is the dropdown that I'd imagine Patrick was referring to. It seems like their users were not able to select a project within this dropdown. There are a couple reasons that could happen. It could be a permission. Maybe the users, whether they're an org admin or a site admin, if they're not added as a user within the project and assigned a certain role that gives them the permission to create issues in the destination project or move issues from and update issues from the original project, then you might not have anything available within that dropdown. So you do need to make sure that you take a look at the permission scheme within the project that you're moving issues from and to. And you also need to make sure that you're understanding users and roles and the permissions associated with those users and roles within that project and that permission scheme. So just make sure that those users do have the permission to create issues in the project that they're trying to move issues to. So here you can see I want to move my issues from the Development 2.0 project to just this plain development project. So I'm going to select that. And I also want to change the issue type. So I'm going to change the issue type from a task to a story. Now, something to keep in mind when you are moving a task or an issue from one project to another, one project may not have the same fields as another. So if you move an issue from the Development 2.0 project or from one project, maybe you have story points as a field, maybe you have acceptance criteria as a field, and maybe you have product manager or account manager as a field in this project, and maybe those fields don't exist in this just plain development project, and maybe they don't exist for the issue type. So before you actually go and move an issue from one project to another, not only do you have to make sure that you have the correct user permissions to perform the activity, but you should really make sure that you understand what fields are in the project that you're moving it from and compare it to the fields that are available in the project that you're moving it to. Because if you go through and you move that issue from one project to another and it doesn't have those fields, you could completely lose that data. And you may not want to lose that data in those fields that don't exist in the destination project. So just make sure that not only are you checking user permissions and roles within both these projects, but you are also understanding fields and the impact that your actions are going to have when you actually move an issue from one project to another. So let's go ahead and hit next. Okay, great. Now it says step 3 of 4, update fields for story issues in development project. So here, this is exactly what I was talking about. It says your destination story issues may have different field settings than your source project. Update the values or the fields for these issues, or select retain and keep the field's current value. So component or version field data is permanently lost. So you will lose your component and version field data if you move issues between projects. So again, that's just something to keep in mind. Maybe you're okay with that, maybe you're not, maybe you want to download an Excel file and go through and update that. Just log it in a comment just so that you have that data and that history before you actually go through and you move an issue from one project to another. And then it says other incompatible fields will appear empty even if you choose to retain their values. And what this means by incompatible fields is there are different field and field types. So you can have like a signee type, you can have a short date, you can have a long text. If those fields are incompatible, then even if you select to move one field to another, then if the field types are incompatible, then you'll lose that data and it'll remain empty. So not only do you have to worry about the name of the fields within each project, but you have to understand what those field types are to ensure that you aren't going to lose any data. Here you can see I don't have any differences between the fields, it looks like, information that is in the task versus the story in that development project. So it says all field values will be retained, which is great. You can elect to send a mail or an email for this. I'm not going to, so let's go ahead and hit next. Okay, great. Here, 4 of 4, confirm changes. So here's a summary of everything that's going to change. And I am okay with those changes, so I'm going to hit confirm. And now it says it's migrating issues. And it says it is done. So we're going to go ahead and hit done. Let's go ahead and hit refresh. And here you can see under project dev2 and key equals dev2-13, there is no issue with that key. So if we wanted to find that issue and make sure it went to the right project, let's go ahead and open up the development project. We can go ahead and go to the backlog. And this was the name of the story that I transferred, was story point gadget test. So we have dev24 that was just recently created. Another way that you can check that this is in fact the story that you transferred from one project to another, or the issue that you transferred from one project to another, here you can see we have the same summary. If you continue to scroll over, you can see story points, acceptance criteria remain the same. But you can also see that this was created on August 13th, but it was updated on September 11th of 2024. The other thing you can do is you can actually click into this task and you can open it up. If you scroll down, you'll see something that says history. And here you can see that this issue was moved from the Development 2.0 project to the Development project, and that the key was updated from dev2-13 to dev-24. So this is how you move an issue from one project to another. But again, some of the things that you need to keep in mind with those drop downs, the reason that some users, whether they're org admins or site admins, one of the potential reasons why they weren't able to select anything in that drop down could have to do with permissions. The way that you would troubleshoot that would be to go to the project. It would have to be at least a project admin in order to see this. You would need to go to project settings. You would need to understand the permission schemes that are available within this project. So you would need to go to permissions under project settings. And here you can see we have the development permission scheme 2.0. You need to understand if they were added to this project, and if so, what their role was. And from there, you can come through and you can take a look at the permission scheme to see if they actually do have the permissions to create issues in that destination project. You would also need to make sure you understand whether or not they have the move issues permission in both the original project and the destination project. So where you're moving it from and where you're moving it to. So make sure you understand permissions, make sure you're checking fields within the projects, and you should be pretty good to go when moving issues from one project to another, and also updating their issue types from one project to another.